Meghan Markle walked onto Drew Barrymore's stage expecting warmth, a hug, maybe even mutual praise between two high-profile women who know what it's like to be in the spotlight. But what she got instead? A wall of cool politeness so thick it could have been a glacier. And viewers, they noticed immediately. This wasn't just an interview, it was a turning point. One where Meghan's carefully polished image hit an immovable force. Drew Barrymore's legendary no-nonsense energy. Meghan flashed the same charm she's used on Oprah, on Ellen in her podcasts, and with royal fans. But for once, it didn't land. In fact, it backfired hard. Because Drew Barrymore, America's sweetheart turned seasoned media powerhouse, wasn't buying it, not for a second. Now, to the average viewer, it might have seemed like just another daytime interview. Two women chatting on a cozy couch, swapping pleasantries, and discussing motherhood or acting careers. But if you were paying attention, really paying attention, there was a chill in the air, a subtle stiffness, and a look on Drew's face that said everything without saying a word. When Meghan leaned in with one of her signature comments, something like, "You've always inspired me, Drew," the response was, well, underwhelming. Drew smiled, sure, but it wasn't a warm one. It was the kind of smile you give someone you don't trust, but still have to tolerate in public. The kind that says, "I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not here for it." It was a blink and you miss it moment, but the internet didn't miss it. In fact, they pounced. Within hours, TikTok was ablaze with frame-by-frame analyses of Drew's expressions. YouTube body language experts uploaded full breakdowns. Reddit threads exploded with speculation about what happened behind the scenes. And Twitter? Oh, Twitter was savage. Comments like, "Drew saw right through Meghan's act," and "finally someone didn't fall for the performance" flooded the feeds. But here's what most people didn't realize at first. This moment didn't happen in a vacuum. Because Meghan Markle has been on a very deliberate charm tour for years now, one that's worn thin for a lot of people in Hollywood. And this latest flop, it was the result of months, maybe even years of reputation fatigue. Let's rewind. After Megxit, Meghan didn't just step back from royal duties. She sprinted into Hollywood's arms. Interviews, documentaries, Spotify deals, public appearances tailored to position her as the misunderstood Duchess turned modern-day icon. But behind the scenes, many saw it for what it was, a rebrand, a calculated campaign to stay relevant, powerful, and adored. And for a while, it worked. People were curious, intrigued, even sympathetic, but that curiosity has slowly shifted to skepticism, especially as more and more stories emerged about Meghan's difficult behavior, alleged diva demands, and the burning bridges left in her wake, from royal aides to Spotify execs. Drew Barrymore, she's been in the game long enough to see through the smoke and mirrors. She's not just a host, she's a survivor of Hollywood, of childhood trauma, of addiction, of exploitation. She's lived through the real stuff. So when someone walks in with a polished PR smile and a script about empowerment, Drew can sense whether it's genuine or just another performance. And that's exactly what seemed to happen. Viewers noticed that Drew never once leaned in. She didn't echo Meghan's compliments. She kept a healthy distance, emotionally and physically. At one point, Meghan reached out with a subtle hand gesture, the kind that usually invites shared warmth or connection. Drew? She shifted slightly back. Now, let's be clear. Drew was professional. She didn't roll her eyes. She didn't cut Meghan off, but she also didn't give her the Hollywood seal of approval Meghan might have been fishing for. "No, we should hang out more. No, I totally understand you." Nothing that hinted at friendship or alignment. And that silence, it spoke volumes. Behind the scenes, rumors suggest there may have been tension even before the cameras rolled. Allegedly, Meghan's team reached out to Drew's producers weeks in advance, trying to secure extra promo, more time on air, maybe even a personal meet and greet. Drew's side reportedly kept it strictly business. It wasn't personal, it was professional boundaries. But to someone like Meghan, who's used to crafting every interaction, that probably felt like rejection. A rare moment where the narrative wasn't in her control. And when the show aired, the blow to her image came fast. Clips of the cold moment went viral almost immediately. Reaction videos popped up by the dozens. People couldn't stop talking about how awkward it was. about how fake Meghan came across, about how Drew just wasn't having it. Some fans tried to defend her. She was nervous. She meant well. But even those defenses fell flat. Because when you've built a brand around being genuine, and someone like Drew Barrymore, who radiates authenticity, doesn't vibe with you, that's a red flag for the audience. Even Meghan's supporters felt the shift. It was undeniable. And Meghan, she reportedly wasn't happy. Sources say she left the studio unusually quiet, skipped the usual post-show chat, and declined to pose for extra backstage photos. Her team was concerned about how the segment would come across, and internally, there was chatter about how to spin the narrative, but spin couldn't save this one. Not when the footage was already out there, not when the moment was too raw, too real, and too telling. This wasn't just about a failed friendship or a cold shoulder. It was about what happens when a heavily curated image smashes into a brick wall of sincerity, and the sincere one doesn't budge. It wasn't the first time Meghan's charm didn't land, but it may have been the most public, because unlike the royal family, who are bound by protocol, or corporate execs, who stay silent to protect partnerships, Drew Barrymore doesn't owe Meghan anything. She's not part of the machine. She's not interested in playing nice for optics. And that freedom, that's what made the moment so powerful. She didn't attack, she didn't expose, she simply didn't buy in. And that's what left Meghan so rattled. Hollywood has changed. The public wants real. They're tired of overproduced narratives, of people trying to control every inch of their image. They want vulnerability, honesty, even awkwardness over perfection. And Drew Barrymore embodies that shift. So, when Meghan came in with rehearsed lines and overly sweet smiles, it clashed hard with the vibe. It felt the old school, out of touch, like a relic from a time when celebrities could fake relatability and get away with it. Now, not anymore. People want the mess, the awkward pauses, the unscripted laughter, the human moments. And when someone like Drew doesn't see that in you, they're not going to pretend. So where does that leave Meghan? Well, it's a warning shot, because if she continues to approach public life like a carefully calculated campaign, she's going to keep running into walls. Walls like Drew, walls that won't move just because you used to wear a crown. The truth is, charm without authenticity is manipulation, and the public can feel the difference. This moment with Drew wasn't just a small embarrassment, it was a mirror, one that showed Meghan exactly what people see when the facade slips. And if she's smart, she'll take a long look. Because the next time she steps onto a stage, she may not get even polite smiles. She may get silence, or worse, laughter. That's the risk of fake charm. Once it's exposed, it's nearly impossible to recover. And Drew, she'll keep being Drew. Honest, cool, unbothered, and unapologetically real. Meanwhile, Meghan's left wondering how it all went so wrong. Again. Behind closed doors, sources close to Meghan say the fallout from the Drew Barrymore moment hit her harder than she let on. To the public, she might have brushed it off as just another interview. But internally, it was a gut punch. Because Meghan knows better than anyone that image is everything. And she just lost control of hers on live television. After the taping, Meghan reportedly went quiet. Not just in the studio, but afterward. No follow-up social media post, no recap or thank you message to Drew, which she typically does after media appearances. For someone so strategic with branding, that silence said a lot. Her team, according to a PR insider, went into immediate damage control mode. They debated whether to reframe the moment online with carefully selected clips, trying to spin the interaction as mutual respect between powerful women. But the problem? The raw footage was already out there. Millions had seen it. And they weren't buying the spin. What made this worse for Meghan was how quickly people chose sides, and not hers. Because this time, the audience didn't just mock Meghan, they defended Drew, fiercely. Drew Barrymore, once the child star who danced with fire, has become something rare in Hollywood, beloved and trusted. She's seen as real, relatable, someone who's been through darkness and didn't pretend it was pretty. So when people saw her act cool around Meghan, they didn't think, oh, Drew's being rude. They thought, she sees something we've all suspected. That instinct, public trust in Drew, only deepened Meghan's predicament. And this isn't the first time something like this has happened to Meghan. Over the years, there's been a quiet pattern of people pulling away, some subtly, others more directly. It's just that this time, it happened in front of millions, and it was unmistakable. Remember when Spotify pulled the plug on Meghan and Harry's deal? That wasn't just about numbers or deadlines. There were whispers from execs that working with Meghan wasn't what they expected, that she wasn't as collaborative as hoped, that her stories felt curated, safe, lacking the vulnerability that podcasts thrive on. And before that, there were stories from her time as a working royal, how aides quit in waves, how staff described the environment as toxic behind the scenes, how even the palace, famous for keeping family matters private, couldn't hide the HR complaints any longer. Now, we're not saying Meghan is the villain here, but in Hollywood and in the public eye, when the same pattern keeps emerging, people start paying attention. And that attention becomes scrutiny, then suspicion, then rejection. That's what this Drew moment represented. Not just an awkward interview, but a slow unraveling of the Meghan narrative. And for someone who's worked so hard to control the story, that has to feel like failure. Insiders suggest Meghan had hoped the Drew appearance would be a reset, a fresh chapter. She's no longer the royal rebel. Now she's the powerful, media-savvy woman reconnecting with her roots in America. She likely envisioned a warm, woman-to-woman chat. Shared laughs, viral clips, headlines like, Meghan and Drew bond over Hollywood comebacks. But instead, she got viral clips all right, just not the ones she wanted. People zoomed in on Drew's stiff posture, her forced smile, the brief moments of silence where Meghan expected warmth but got indifference. Even late-night shows caught wind of it. One host joked that Meghan might want to try charm on someone who hasn't been burned by Hollywood for 30 years. The audience laughed. But for Meghan, it was another reminder that the tide is turning. Because once late-night comedians start taking digs, it means the media no longer sees you as protected. You're fair game. And let's talk about what this means for Meghan's future. If this moment signals anything, it's that her previous strategy, polish, perfection, PR, might not work anymore. In a world where raw content goes viral and people want flaws, her image might feel too scripted, too smooth, too safe. And the entertainment industry, it runs on relationships. If big names like Drew Barrymore are quietly keeping their distance, other celebrities will take note. Not because they dislike Meghan necessarily, but because no one wants to be caught in a viral moment that looks fake or forced. Already, there's speculation that Meghan's next project, reportedly a lifestyle brand, may struggle to find A-list support. Brands want real influence, not controversy dressed in couture. One Hollywood agent put it bluntly, you can't build a brand on empowerment if no one believes you empower anyone but yourself. Harsh? Yes, but that's the industry. Even more telling is how other celebrities have subtly adjusted their posture toward Meghan. Remember when Beyoncé reportedly sent Meghan a message of support after the Oprah interview? Warm words, solidarity, but no follow-up, no selfie, no collab. It was a polite nod, not a friendship. Same with the Obamas. Despite swirling rumors of closeness, they've maintained distance. Barack and Michelle didn't invite Meghan and Harry to Barack's 60th birthday bash, an event packed with celebrities and dignitaries. That absence spoke volumes. And now, with Drew's public frostiness, that message gets louder. We see you, but we don't buy it. So where does Meghan go from here? She could double down, lean harder into her polished image, try to control the narrative through carefully written statements and brand-safe interviews. Or she could finally do what audiences have been waiting for: be real, talk about the failures, the friendships that didn't work, the loneliness, the embarrassment, the regret. Show up without the designer filter, without the practiced lines. Because the Meghan who once captured hearts wasn't the Duchess. It was the underdog. The woman who said she didn't feel protected. The woman who talked about struggling in silence. That Meghan? People rooted for her, but the current version, always performing, always in control, is starting to look like a product, not a person. And products? People get tired of them. Drew Barrymore didn't reject Meghan on camera because she's cruel. She just refused to play a game. And that might be the biggest wake-up call Meghan's had in years. Because if someone like Drew, who's generous with love, who hugs guests like family, pulls back from you, the issue might not be with them. It might be with how you're showing up. For Meghan, this isn't just a lesson in public relations, it's a moment to reflect, to ask herself, why did that moment feel so cold? What am I doing that's making people feel I'm not being real? Because whether you're on a royal throne or a talk show couch, people know when you're faking it. And Drew Barrymore just reminded the world that no crown, no title, no designer dress can cover that up.